Hi, I'm Mark Jewell, co-founder of Selling Energy, here to share with you what we've been doing in the mobile training space for the last couple of years. It's called Selling in 6-minute lessons that teach you how to be a more effective sales professional in the energy business. And by the way, if you already have access to Selling in 6, feel free to pass this video along to someone in your professional network. You know, as my late father says, he passed away last year at the age of 87, God rest his soul. He told me over dinner 50 years ago, when I was age 11, the best way to prosper yourself is to prosper others. And I really do think this is an example where if you've gained value out of Selling in 6, one of the best things you could do is pass this video along to a friend. So back to the story. You know, for those of you who don't know me, I've been selling in 5 different industries over the last 45 years, and 30 of those years has been spent in the energy space. In that 30-year period or so, I've influenced energy efficiency decision-making in about 3 billion square feet of North American real estate. So, to say the least, this is not my first rodeo. You know, and it's interesting because over that last 7 to 10 years, we've trained 11,000 energy professionals. We've worked with more than 100 U.S. utilities and actually North American utilities to train their account reps, trade allies, or both. So we've had quite a lot of experience training people both in person and online. You know, about 10 years ago, the reason that we even started Selling Energy was that I'd already been in the business for almost 20 years. And I remember sitting in a cafe asking a colleague, why is it that it is so difficult to sell energy solutions? I mean, it's not the shortage of technologies. It's not the shortage of technologists. It's not the fact that there's a shortage of rebate money or incentive money. There are billions of dollars floating around the marketplace every day. What was it? Why were people having such a problem selling solutions? And the more I asked that question, the more the word sell hung in the air as the operative word in that question. And it occurred to me that most people in this industry are accidental salespeople. If you would have asked them at age 11 what they wanted to do when they grew up, they probably wouldn't have raised their hand and said, I want to be in sales. So where does that leave us? Well, we have a bunch of people who never got trained in sales, never thought they'd be in sales. They started their career as eco-entrepreneurs or contractors or distributors or product managers or whatever, but here they are. Their success now depends on their ability to sell energy solutions. Now, we had done lots of trainings. We started Selling Energy with an efficiency sales professional boot camp that lasted 6 days. Shortly thereafter, we shortened it to 5 days and then to 4 days, just in deference to people's professional schedules and other commitments. Then we had 1 and 2 day shortened versions of it called Learning to See, Sell Energy Solutions Effectively. Bottom line is, you know, we've done a lot of in-person training. And I can tell you, as being the sole instructor, looking into the eyes of those, thousands and thousands of people, I can tell you that when you're in an in-person training with someone who is as passionate, as fast-speaking as I am, you're going to remember probably about 25% of what I said. And if you're lucky, when you go back to the office, you'll probably apply half of that. And about 2 years ago, it occurred to me, God, what a waste of intellectual property. At the same time, I was looking at research that told me that 3/4 of millennials or more really preferred to learn everything they needed to learn to be successful at their jobs. They prefer to learn that on their cell phones, smartphones. I thought, wait a second. People's attention span is shrinking. People don't want to be sent away for days and weeks at a time for these training conferences. They don't want to be sitting at their desks, duct taped to their chairs, watching hour-long corporate sales videos or safety videos. Bottom line is, they need a more mobile solution. So that's where the idea of Selling in 6 came from. We basically wanted to tame the fire hose of content down to a drip irrigation content reinforcement model so that people could take the thousands and thousands of beautiful, visually compelling slides we created over the years and experience them in 6-minute bits with keyword searchable lessons that were easy to revisit, easy to review. Okay. So bottom line is, as I was creating this magnum opus, I nicknamed it my Sistine Chapel Ceiling Painting Project because it was quite a labor of love and it took quite a long time. Basically, I distilled 7 to 10 years worth of curricula into 6-minute lessons. And bottom line is, we were really trying to meet the needs of sales professionals and sales professional managers across the world. And we had people that wanted to get their people trained by me because the people who had been trained by me were just doing 3 times the production of anybody else, but they didn't want to or couldn't afford to send their entire sales staff cross country to spend a week or 2 with me in person and bear all that expense and lost selling time. So the Selling in 6 was really born as a sales manager's dream, and that's in fact what the trade press has called it. No calendar coordination. You don't have to worry about matching up people's schedules to get them in the right place at the right time. No travel time or expense. No catering, venue, or AV costs. Tracked viewing so the sales manager can see what everybody's looking at. He can assign lessons. And we even give the sales manager the ability to reassign licenses that are in good faith assigned to sales professionals, but for whatever reason, the sales professional is distracted, so they wind up getting that license back and reassigning it to perhaps a more engaged learner. Bottom line is, adult learners are very special people, and many of them prefer online training. And LinkedIn was the one who gave us that statistic of 76% of millennials preferring to learn everything required to make themselves successful at their jobs on their smartphones as opposed to being in-person trainings. But that said, there are certain adult learners who prefer other modalities. So when we created Selling in 6, we were careful to create it to be a multimodal experience. And by that I mean you're going to get the Selling in 6 lessons, 6-minute lessons, depending on the version, the edition. It could be as many as 330 lessons. Then you're going to get Selling in 60, which is groups of lessons categorized by topic that you can press one button and they play consecutively. So you don't have to press a button every 6 minutes to get to the next lesson. Then there's Selling in 6 audio only. So for people who want to exercise, walk the dog, maybe they're driving, they can listen to many, many lessons in the car just while they're traveling, okay, or doing something else. Then we think, wait a second, there are a bunch of people out there who are sort of more kinesthetic and less high-tech. They like to have a playbook in their hands. So we decided we would publish these college yearbook size hardcover playbooks that had all 4,400 slides in them, printed beautiful color laid out by our Italian designer, and they have space in there for notes, and there are other templates and other resources in there as well. Then we thought, well, there are some people out there who really appreciate the in-person or live connection with the instructor. So we thought, okay, we got to make sure we add 2-hour coaching conference calls. So for the last 8 years or so, we've been doing these monthly 2-hour mastermind group coaching conference calls. So anybody who signs up for Selling in 6 is automatically invited to all those. We also give people a copy of my Wall Street Journal best-selling book, Selling Energy, Inspiring Ideas that Get More Projects Approved. And we also invite them to sign up for our daily blog, which is available in the Apple Store, the Google Play Store, and also by email. So you can see it's a very, very multimodal approach to sales training. People who have seen this training call it the Wikipedia of sales training. About 250, 260 of the lessons are really general sales lessons. They can be applied to any discipline. In fact, we do have a lot of non-energy solution sellers who are already prospering tremendously from using Selling in 6. But the whole gestalt of the 330 lessons really does tune itself well to the energy solution sales professional. Okay, so how many editions are there? Selling in 6 really has two main themes of editions. There's the commercial and industrial division, edition that comes in 3 flavors. There's a residential and multifamily edition, comes in 1 flavor, and there's also an internal champion edition. Okay, so let's unpack each one of those. The commercial industrial edition comes in 3 flavors. The first is silver, second is gold, third is platinum. When I created this about 2 years ago, I decided that I would key the lengths of these editions to what people were used to buying from me in in-person training. So the silver edition is 60 6-minute lessons, and with all the bonus content, that sort of thing, is equivalent to about 2 days of in-person training. The gold edition has 120 lessons, so it's everything in silver plus another 60 lessons, and is equivalent to about 4 days of in-person training with me. The platinum edition is everything in silver and gold, plus about another 200 or more lessons. It's 330 lessons total, and that is equivalent to about 8 days of in-person training with me. So if you were to do 8 days of in-person training with me, it would cost you about $4,000, plus travel, entertainment, plus missed selling time, et cetera, et cetera. So Selling 6 Platinum is less than a third of that cost. Really good deal, and it's infinitely more flexible and accountable and that sort of thing. So those are the, by the way, there are certain advantages. People often ask me, what's the difference between the editions besides just the number of lessons? Is there any sort of categorical separation between the topics covered? And in fact, there are. The silver edition is what I call the Shake the Etch-a-Sketch edition. It basically tells salespeople a lot of the things they're doing wrong, many of them unwittingly. It tells them how to get to a 1-page proposal, an elevator pitch, a 1-page financial analysis. It talks about selling digits to widgets, in other words, converting savings into equivalent revenue for a prospect. Just lots of tips. It's just really powerful stuff. But again, it's just to shake the Etch-a-Sketch. It's sort of a chiropractic readjustment to share with energy sales professionals a lot of the things they're doing wrong as they're just giving 50-page proposals focused on bits, bytes, and blinking lights. The gold edition is everything in silver, plus it adds a couple of, actually 3 main themes. The first is overcoming more than 60 or 70 different objections. Some of the objections have 2 answers, some of them have 16 answers, but you've got a 6-minute lesson or so on each one of those objections. And that's, by the way, curated from my experience of selling energy solutions for nearly 30 years. The second big swath that's new in gold is financial analysis. And I don't care if you're an art history or political science major, you're still going to understand financial analysis after I get done with you with selling in 6. I went to Wharton as a finance major, and I've been using finance in 5 different industries in 45 years, and I can assure you that I can explain it very clearly so that you'll feel comfortable. Even if you're a liberal arts major with not a math head, you'll feel very comfortable giving these lessons, translating these lessons into compelling value statements as you're even going toe-to-toe with the CFO. The third main swath that makes gold different is we have a whole bunch of professional development stuff that, unless you're an avid student of everything from Huffington Post to Wired Magazine to Fast Company to Ladder's blog, you're not going to get all this stuff in one place. We've got about 700 books on sales and success in our professional library here at Selling Energy, and a lot of that stuff, plus my own experience, has been curated and gleaned and to put into Selling 6 Gold. So we talk about things like the 24 steps to doing an effective meeting, how to do a more effective phone call, voicemail, agenda, minutes of the meeting, how to take better notes, just really good professional development stuff that's going to help you regardless of what role you have in the organization or whether or not you're even in energy solution sales. So that's all gold. Platinum does everything in silver and gold, plus we add a couple of really significant swaths. One is, of course, how to sell into almost 20 different market segments. Number 2 is how to sell into commercial real estate, landlord-tenant settings. My career previous to Wharton was in commercial real estate. My partners and I had a $200 million portfolio in Southern California, and we had, quite a luminous mentor who used to be CFO for $1 billion real estate empire in the Midwest. So I learned from one of the best, and this Platinum edition has about 135 slides on how to make a compelling case to advance energy solutions in landlord-tenant settings. I should probably note, if you haven't seen my bio, I helped the EPA conceive of and deploy the Energy Star Buildings program for commercial real estate many years ago, and personally recruited about 2 billion square feet of North American real estate into that voluntary pollution prevention program. So when I tell you something's going to work, selling energy solutions to a landlord, I'm not kidding you. It works, because I've talked to toe-to-toe with the COOs and CTOs and CEOs and EIAOs in commercial real estate. I know what makes them say yes. Okay, what else is in Platinum? Presentation tips and tricks, how to do a PowerPoint, how to present a PowerPoint, marketing tips and tricks, just all sorts of things, how to do a more compelling social media presence, how to refine your LinkedIn profile. That's why people who are in the know, who have reviewed these 330 lessons, really do accurately describe Selling in 6 as the Wikipedia of sales excellence and training. And the fact that it's 6-minute lessons on your smartphone, it makes it irresistible to sales managers who are trying to train a geographically dispersed sales force with probably varied skill sets coming in. I want to mention one more thing before we talk about the residential multifamily edition and the internal champion edition. A lot of people say, is this training for veterans, newbies, or somebody in between? And the answer is, when we've had large sales forces audition it with regional sales managers across the country prior to purchasing hundreds of licenses, the veterans typically say the following. About a third of the material is the stuff that I used to become a rising star in this organization, some of which I've fallen off the wagon. I don't do anymore, and I've got to get back to those good habits. About another third is the stuff that I do now to maintain my superiority in sales. And another third of it is stuff I never even would have thought of. So I'm really glad I had access to it. The nice thing about having it in this mobile format is that people can look at the lessons, or they can just listen to the audio in the background. So you're not really asking people an onerous ask. If you give a top producer or a veteran who's been with you for 20 or 30 years, if you ask them to look at this material, they're going to get something of value out of it, and it's not going to be a hardship to view the material or listen to it. Newbies, on the other hand, holy cow, if at the beginning of my energy career someone handed me Selling in 6, talk about going up the learning curve with a rocket pack on your back. I mean, I'm basically giving you 3 billion square feet of scar tissue plus the accumulated experience of 11,000 graduates in selling energy in a can, more precisely on your smartphone. So it's pretty powerful stuff. So to answer the question, is this for new people, veterans, or somebody in between? It's really for everybody. Even sales managers. There are 30 lessons on sales management. So sexy stuff. By the way, before we get off the silver, gold, and platinum discussion, platinum is really the choice for most people because not only does it have the superset of all the content, but it also is the edition that we add all new content to. So, for example, when someone asked us to create 30 lessons on sales management, it was added to the platinum edition. And the final reason you want to go with platinum instead of gold, perhaps, is platinum is about $420 or so more expensive. I'm sorry, $300 and some dollars more expensive, but you get more than that at a discount when you add segment guides to the platinum license. In other words, segment guides is a database online that gives you insights that allow you to speak as a peer as opposed to a salesperson to folks, prospects, customers in more than 20 different industries. And if you were to buy that alone off the website, it'd be $588. But when you're a platinum licensee with Selling in 6, you get to add segment guides to platinum for only $156. Why $156? Because that's the price we give to utilities who buy 1,000 licenses at a time. So the combination of Selling in 6 Platinum and segment guides is $1,188 plus $156, whereas if you were to just buy segment guides alone, it'd be $588 right off the bat. So if you were to buy gold and segment guides, it would actually be more expensive than buying platinum and segment guides. All right, enough of that for now. You can see all the pricing on our website. The residential multifamily edition, as the name would suggest, it's all the expertise we've built up in selling to those marketplaces, both homeowners and, of course, apartment building and condo decision makers. That's 86 lessons. And then the Internal Champion Edition is really designed, it's really curated from the superset of Platinum. It's 128 lessons that will help internal champions like sustainability directors and energy managers get more projects approved. It basically teaches them how to sell up within their own organization. Very powerful stuff. So, which edition is right for you? I would recommend the Platinum plus the segment guides if you're in commercial industrial. If you're in residential, get the residential edition. If you're an internal champion, then probably the internal champion edition would be right for you. And we're happy to coach you on which editions you should get. So thousands of energy professionals already have access to Selling in 6. We have 2,000 written testimonials of how people have gotten just tremendous outsized success after taking our sales training. People have told me stories of having that Selling in 6 license pay off in less than a week because they've gotten some insight, some new twist, some way to reframe or resubmit a proposal that's been stymied and get it approved in short order. And of course, the margin on that incrementally approved proposal is more than enough to pay for the tuition for the entire Selling in 6 and segment guides caboodle. Okay. On that note, by the way, utilities are sponsoring this Selling in 6 for lots of their people. We've had utilities literally buy upwards of several hundred licenses to give to trade allies in their territory. The goal being that if they make this trade ally successful, then the utility will make its goals, which means it will meet its savings goals, which means if it's a energy performance-based compensation program with the regulators, their shareholders at the utility will make out better. There are just all sorts of reasons, especially in today's world with the pandemic and the recession, there are all sorts of reasons that a utility would want to sponsor Selling in 6 training for its trade allies. So why do you need this training now? I mean, bottom line is, I started this presentation by telling you that most salespeople in this industry are accidental salespeople. And while that may be okay in a normal economy or a booming economy, such as what we've just come out of, it's certainly not okay when you're facing the dual headwinds of a pandemic and recession. Another thing you need to think about is that 39% of business-to-business buyers will select their vendor based on the sales professionalism of the person standing in front of them, rather than the offering, the price, the warranty, or the service. That means 2 out of every 5 people who are going to be looking at you in your sales presentation, whether it be on Zoom or in person, are going to be judging whether they want to do business with your boss, your company, your ownership, based upon how professional you are. So if there's ever a time to sharpen your sales professionalism, it's now. You also need to keep your sales team's morale high. And by giving people tips and tricks that have been proven by thousands and thousands of our graduates, you're going to make those people successful despite the headwinds. You certainly don't want to have your people hiding until the storm passes, because A, it's not going to pass for a while, and B, you really can't afford to have them foundering and squandering, practicing on prospects while they're waiting for this pandemic and recession to recede. You need to give your people answers to new objections, and we have that kind of stuff in Selling in 6. You need to regain the selling weeks that you've lost due to the pandemic, social distancing and remote workplaces and sheltering in place. You need to get all that stuff back. You need to understand that salespeople now actually probably have better access to decision makers than before. And if they have a crisp, clear, concise, compelling message, you could probably do a lot of good, talking to these people with stuff that they care about, And Selling in Six is just full of that. Also, to the extent that your salespeople have any lull in the activity in their normal business cycle, now's the time to be sharpening the saw. Now's the time to be tensioning the catapult, if you will, preparing, filling the pipeline for future quarters. And frankly, if people are saving time not going to the office because they're working from home, or they're saving time by not visiting customer facilities, not going to conferences and things like that, you need to be recalibrating that time as professional development time. So you turn those accidental salespeople into sales ninjas. Also, from a budgeting standpoint, bottom line is you're probably saving some money on travel and entertainment expense from your salespeople, on trade show, exhibition fees, and travel expenses and things like that, conference memberships and things like that. You really need to be redirecting those dollars, as I mentioned before, because your people need that training more than ever before because they have a vacuum now in their pipeline of leads because they're not having those trade show leads that they typically get. And I'll finalize that by saying that if there's ever been a time to migrate the discussion from utility savings only to non-utility cost financial and non-financial savings, it's now. I know from having been in the energy business for nearly 3 decades that energy solutions properly reframed have very, very compelling, quantifiable, monetizable non-utility cost financial benefits and very significant non-financial benefits. And those are the kinds of benefits that will help your customers regain their financial footing in this recession. The sooner you can recalibrate your sales professionals so they start talking that way, the more compelling, more convincing you will be as you're speaking with prospects and customers as they're seeking how they're going to regain their net profit in the wake of diminishing top-line revenue. Okay. So how do you gain access to this training? Well, each licensee, you buy these single-user full-year licenses. Each licensee would get the following benefits. You get a single-user full-year access to the program. You get the hardcover playbooks with all the printed slides, the resources, and space for notes. You get a copy of my Wall Street Journal best-selling book in whatever format you want, hardback, audiobook, or ebook. You get invitations to our monthly coaching conference calls, those mastermind group coaching conference calls. And of course, you'll get access to our daily blog. All right. Now, if you were to sponsor this training for a large group, whether it be for your own employees or for distributors or contractors, trade allies, whatever, you get at no additional cost private label marketing material, private label web page, assistance with marketing outreach to encourage registration. You'll get the hosting of all the live webinars and, of course, the coaching sessions. I should say the Selling in Six lessons. They're not live webinars. They're recorded online on-demand lessons and the coaching sessions. You get a hosting of all the online on-demand content on a private labeled learning management system. You get periodic reports on registration and viewing statistics, and you have the ability to recycle non-viewed licenses so that you maximize the impact of every dollar you spend in training investment. So, in summary, the combination of the pandemic and the recession have created chaos. But lurking in that chaos is a tremendous amount of opportunity. And if there's ever been a time to ratchet up your team's sales professionalism, it's now. So if you're interested in anything I've said, hopefully I've captured your fascination on at least some of the points, I would welcome you to invite me to a 30 or 60-minute conference call, targeting session, strategy session, where we can explore what we've been doing with other customers that are similar to you, and what we might do for your organization, how we might structure it, how soon we can deploy it. The nice thing about us is that we really are a turnkey operation. We develop the content, we produce it, we narrate it, we do all the coaching, all the registration, all the reporting, all the hosting, everything. I mean, literally, once you free up the budget dollars to do this, we take it from there. And I promise you we'll make you proud. So, meanwhile, thanks for listening. I hope to get a chance to chat with you live soon, but please do think about booking a 60 or 30-minute strategy session with me, because I know it'll be worth your time. Thank you very much for listening, and bye-bye for now.